Hello, hello, hello. I am your host, Raeshal Solomon, and today on Raeshal Speaks, we are going to be talking about tips for writing your first book with my guest, Julia. Julia, I think I've known you for about 3, maybe 4 years now. That time goes by so quickly. Has it
Yes,
been that long already?
it has, which is a good thing, which is a great thing.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. Me and Julia actually met through a coaching program we did a few years back, and then we actually co-did a book together, or we were both contributors on the same book that recently came out called The Smell of Poverty. Actually came out this year in 2018. So you guys can go look up The Smell of Poverty to see find out more about that book. But I'm excited to have you on the show today. I know you've been doing this thing for a long time. You actually owned your own publishing company, so I'm excited. I know the information you're about to give everyone is going to be amazing. So, Julia, can you tell people just a little bit about who you are and your background and how you got into writing, and then we can start on this topic.
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for having me on your show, Rachel Speaks. It is an honor and a privilege anytime I speak on any topic, and this is one that is near and dear to my heart. But I'm Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, and my purpose and goal is to help you get your message to the masses and turn your words into wealth through book coaching, book writing, publishing, speaking, and marketing and promotion. So that is overall what I do, really the whole full circle of the book process. I have 2 publishing companies. The first one is BK Royston Publishing, and then the second one is Royal Media and Publishing. So that keeps me really busy, and I'm really ecstatic over that. I've been in business now 10 years, and I just retired from teaching. Yay! And so I'm
Yay.
going to be a full-time, yay! I'm a full-time entrepreneur now, so instead of being bivocational, getting up early and staying up late, woo, I'm tired, but I'm going to forge right ahead. So that's a little bit about me. To find out more information about me, go to bkroystonpublishing.com or juliaroyston.net. Those are my 2 main websites, and I'm everywhere on social media you want to be.
Yes, and she also has, I have her website actually in the description of the show. So while you're listening, you can also go and click on her links and, scroll around her pages and stuff and find out a little bit more about her. So how are you doing this morning?
I am doing fantabulous this morning. Just have the day ahead of me and really excited about the topic, what we're going to be discussing. Just over the top excited.
Wonderful. So while you're talking about our topic, today our topic is tips for writing your first book. So I'm super excited about that. I cannot wait. I guess I'm just ready to go into the first. What is the first tip you would give someone who's been like, I want to write a book, but maybe they don't even know what they want to write a book on. They just feel a tug to write something. What would you tell that person?
So let's just get started about I'm going to give you even 7 things to consider when writing a book. So that's where I'm going to start, because I think after being in this business for a while, I want to write a book. I don't know what I want to write about. But there are some things that you really need to consider and even think about prior to writing the book. Now, before I get started, let me just put this caveat and say that I'm really not trying to scare anyone, but after 10 years, writing 51 books myself and 100 authors signed to my companies and 250 books published, I think I know a little bit of something about writing a book or getting a book out there. So I want to kind of give you the heads up so you're an informed consumer as much as possible. So let's just go through 7 things to consider when writing a book. So first thing is consider your expertise, not about writing the book. Because if it's your first time writing the book, you're like, well, I'm not an expert. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what you're an expert at. I can help you get a book done all day long. I can help you take the knowledge that you know and put it in book form. That's easy to do. But you have to think about what knowledge you have. Now, Some of you, when I say knowledge or expertise, you're thinking about the job you had. You're thinking about, oh, I don't have a degree. You're thinking about, oh, I've only been in my position 10 years, or I'm a stay-at-home mom, or I don't have. It's because you're comparing yourself to someone else. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to someone else, because I believe that everyone put on this earth has a God-given talent and ability. You have an expertise. There's something you know, whether you learned it in school, whether you learned it from Big Mama, whether you learned it, wherever you learned it from, you have an expertise. There's something that you do well. There's something that you do that you don't even get paid for doing, that you just basically kind of give away. So think about your knowledge and expertise, not just about education. Get that in your mind. Not just about, I don't have a PhD. That's not what I'm talking about. If you can sew, that's an expertise I don't have. I do a lot, but I don't do that. If you have raised children, I have no biological children of my own. That's an expertise I don't have. There are so many things that you know that you never really thought about that other people need to know, that other people need help with. So think about your expertise and knowledge. Sure, if you're thinking, I'm not even really thinking about nonfiction books, I'm thinking about writing a children's book and taking the knowledge I know as a mother and pouring it into a children's book. That's expertise and knowledge. Point number 2, let's think about your passion. What are you passionate about? What do you do if nobody paid you? What do you enjoy? You just like, oh, this is just, it's not really, it's not a business. It's just a passion of mine. This is something I do. That passion can be turned into information, into a book, a how-to, a guide, a step-by-step, a video, whatever you need to do before writing that book. Think about what you're passionate about. So I compare this and have said this in the past. Think about a new grandmother who has a brand new grandbaby. If you say, how's your grandbaby? Oh, everything erupts. Her face lights up. She's getting out her phone, trying to remember her code to be able to give you and show you pictures of her grandchild. Well, your book is going to be your brand new baby. So you want to write about something that you're passionate about, something that you love, something sure that people want to read, but also that you have an intense knowledge about, something you're excited and over the top about. Number 3, if you have a business, you should have a book. So if you're in the business of speaking, you're in the business of coaching, if you are in the business of a food truck, if you cater, if you sew, if you do crafts, you should have a book. There should be some manual or reference that goes along with your business. Now, I realize some people say, I don't have a business. I did not incorporate with the state and the Secretary of State and the state in which I live, so I don't have a business. But boo, when you selling sweet potato pies out of your house on Saturdays with the fish fry, you're in business. It is a legal, legitimate business that you're trading and getting cash for. You're in business. Now, I encourage you to legalize that so that you can get a lot of business benefits, but that's, of course, for another call. But if you have a business, you should have a book. You should have a book that is related to your business. You're an expert in business. You're telling people are coming to you and buying what you have to sell, requesting your services, and paying you in some type of monetary way. You should have a book along with that. Number 4, who is your audience? Who is your audience? Who do you want to talk to? Because literally, that's what your book is going to be doing. Talking to a specific group of people, talking to a specific audience of people, talking to someone specific. So I also tell authors this. Oh, I'm not a public speaker. Oh, don't think about the masses first. Think about if a young person, a late teenager came to you and asked you a question about what? I want to learn how to crochet. What would you say? Would you show them how? Would you talk them through? Would you give them a little history of how you started crocheting or how you started sewing or how you started cooking? That's your audience, okay? So consider the audience. Okay, so just as a recap, 1, your expertise. 2, your passion. 3, your business that you're in. And number 4, your audience, who you want to talk to. Because that will determine how you write the book, the language that you write the book in. Because if you're a doctor who wants to talk to other doctors, that's different than being a doctor that's wanting to talk to patients, that are wanting to talk to people who do not have a background. They may have a background in other areas and expertise in something else, but they're not an MD. They're not a medical doctor. So you have to consider who your audience is and who you're wanting to talk to. Now, number 5 is something that most people would think, what? Really? You got to say that in 2018? Yes. Number 5, are you social media active? Are you active on social media? Now, that's not the only avenue for selling, promoting, having your book out there, but that has to be a part of your arsenal. You've got to determine, pick one of those social media outlets and rule and dominate there. You've got to be active out there somewhere because, 1, social media is a global audience. And as much as, I can meet enough people in my neighborhood, boo, after so long, there's only going to be so many people who want to know about your book. There's only going to be so many people who are going to buy your book. And after that, what do? You need to find new people to actually buy and be interested in your message, your expertise, your passion. And there may not be your audience in your community. Your audience, your community may be overseas, internationally, depending upon what you want to write your book about. So being social media active is key. Now, I just want to put a little caveat here. Yes, there are messy people on social media. Yeah, there's crazy stuff on social media. Me, I know how to scroll very, very fast. If it's something that does not benefit me, inspirationally, professionally, even personally, I scroll. I just keep moving. It's not necessary for me to entertain everything that's posted on social media. It's like people saying, I don't go to work because there's crazy people out there. Well, no, you got to keep moving no matter what. So have a place that you're social media active. Pick one. Facebook, you're going to be active on Instagram. You're going to be active on Twitter. You're going to be active on LinkedIn. And then number 6, be social. I'm sorry, you're going to have to be social. You're going to have to come out of your house, come out of your comfort zone to be a little social. You're going to eventually, even before you start writing the book, you're going to have to meet new people, be able to introduce yourself. Hi, how are you? My name is Julia, and this is what I do. That's being social. I'm not trying to sell you a book. I'm not trying to sell you a publishing package. I'm just being social. Hi, that's who I am. That's step number 1, to be social. Because on down the road, once you write it, you're going to have actual bodies who are going to buy it. It's not going to sell itself. Now, I know I'm jumping ahead, but these 7 things, I believe, are really key even before you start writing. There's some things that you need to even think about and do even before you start writing the book. And then number 7, if you want to write a book, you're going to have to start getting into the industry, the business, the environment of books and authors. You need to have a vision for your books. And I put F on it because I believe that usually everyone who writes one book will probably write a second one. But you need to have a vision for your book, your books. What does that look like? But if you've never done that before, you need to learn from other people. So you need to go around to book fests, to book festivals, to bookstores, and just go and sit and look. You don't even necessarily have to buy anything, but you need to be encompassed of what that environment looks like. What do you like about that book? What you don't like about that book? What does that book look like? What do you like the color? Do you like the size? There's different sizes. What do you see for your book? Even before you start writing, have a vision for it because it makes all the difference in the world. Is that helpful, Raeshal?
Oh, my gosh, that is so helpful. That's so helpful. So I kind of had questions along the way, but could you
Okay.
just give me like the titles of each one again from like one? Just give me one, and then I'll ask you a question. Then give me two. Then because I had questions, but you were going so good, I didn't want to interrupt. So I was like, let her get all this gold out first, and then I'll go back and ask my questions.
So your expertise and your knowledge. Who's there? Your expertise and your knowledge. That's first one.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to make a statement here. Like sometimes what you're an expert at is something that you don't think that you are, because, like for me, I got out of a lot of debt, which led me to believe that I didn't want my kids to do that. So I started writing kids books about money. You know what I mean? So sometimes your expertise will come at you in a side manner. It's not, you know what I mean? It might not be that thing you focused on all the time, like she said. It's that thing you do at home for fun to relax after you've been working all day. So I just want people to see, there's just think. I would even write a list. I don't know. Would you suggest them writing maybe 2 or 3 things that brings them joy?
Yeah, not a whole long list. Just 2 or 3
just
things.
2 or 3.
Because sometimes,
just 2 or 3.
right. So sometimes the book that you want to write may not be related to your expertise and knowledge, or sometimes it may be. It just all depends. But just thinking about that, because some people say, I don't know where to start. I don't even know where to start as far as writing a book, and that's one place to start. That's not the only place to start. That's just one place to start. All right. Number 2,
so number
your
2,
passion.
Your passion. Okay, so Mike, I think we kind of hit that a little bit on number 1, though, because if that's something that ends up on your list, then that's something you could write a book about. So I didn't really have any questions for passion. I didn't have any questions for number 2.
Number 3 is business.
Oh yeah. It took me a long time to realize that I'm not just an author, that I'm an entrepreneur. And I didn't run my business like a business until I met Coach, because she literally said, "You're a business and you're selling a product."
Exactly.
So you think that is important for people to consider?
Right. Well, I mean, and that's the reason why, it's just my side hustle. It's just, it's not really a business. And, sometimes I host networking events, and even if they're not authors, they still don't think, well, that's not really a business. Yes, it is. And so that really kind of takes some changing of the mindset. And you're right, Coach helps us all do that, to think about that we're in a business. Because, when I met Coach, sure, I knew I had a business, but I was still working full time. So I'm like, well, my main moneymaker is my job. But then I had to really change my thinking, even though I was, I had incorporated and all that. I still had to change my mindset for a business, and that can be tricky at times. Definitely.
Right.
Okay, number 4 was your audience. Your audience.
Yes. Okay, so how do people, when writing a book or even considering writing a book, how do they decide who their audience is? Is there some questions they should be asking themselves before they start the process, just to make sure that they're writing it in the correct voice, I guess?
The correct voice, and also in the correct connotation, because I think sometimes the vocabulary, I had this probably the last 4 years with an author. They were like on a PhD. They had like their doctorate level, but they were wanting to communicate to school parents. And I'm like, you're going to have to bring your language down just a little bit, because you don't want people to be reading your book and have to have a dictionary with them at the same time. Now, I'm not trying to say that they need to be phonic. It's just like the audience that you're seeking to sell the book to needs to match the language that's inside, so that it's more attracting, rather than, oh, Lord, the language in this thing was over my head. But you also have to consider, which I totally understand, sometimes the people that you're drawn to help may not be drawn to you. So therefore, so some people it's easy. You know, they love children and they don't want anything to happen to them, so therefore they write for children. Well, I didn't. I always knew that I worked with adults and had never worked with children before. But until I went from high school to elementary, then I realized, oh, okay, I do have something to say to children when I didn't know that before, because now children had been in my sphere of influence. So, as far as the audience, I would get your list out again and say, who do I talk to the most? So is it women? Is it people in general? Is this a man topic or is this a woman topic? And then from there, does this apply to children? Does this just apply to professionals? If I really have a passion for, I'll just say this, and then I know we have to move on, but, if you find yourself always having an opinion about a certain thing, that's usually who you want to speak to, even if it's in a critical manner. So it's like fashion people who talk about people's clothes and fashion. Well, then show them the right way. You don't like what they got on? Stop complaining and show them the right way. You know what I'm saying? So the audience is who you not just have a problem with, but who you want to help. Okay? So think about those things as far as the audience. Number 5 was social media active.
Okay, so I know how important social media is, but what if you get those people that's like, well, I don't like social media, I'm not comfortable with it. What's your suggestion for them? And I know you hit a little bit about like the trolls and spammers and people or negativity on there, but there's a lot of positivity on social media. So what do you tell the people who are like kind of standoffish? Oh, I'm older, I don't need that, or I don't really like it, that kind of thing.
Well, okay, so it's like anything else. When I post, I have 5,000 followers, and of course the algorithm, we talk about that all day. That's a whole nother broadcast. But in essence, in the general sense, when I post, I can potentially post to 5,000 people every single day or every time I post, okay? So they all might not see it, and that's an argument for another time. But imagine me having to get to individually 5,000 people. I don't know about you, but I'd be woe out. I'd be tired.
Right.
So that is the benefit. It's the multiply effect. And they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends. So imagine if just 5 of those 5,000, okay? So that's not 10%. The 10 would be 500. 1% would be 50. So that puts some more zeros after the dot. Imagine if 5 of those people shared it to their timeline, what I had to say, and they had 5,000. Now, my 5,000 plus their, 25,000? That's potentially, so that's potentially 30,000 people. So every share, we all say thank you because you have magnified and multiplied my reach. So imagine trying to reach 30,000 people one by one.
Right.
Think about that.
Right.
Now,
30,000 people you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. 30,000 people who do not know you, who have never heard of your book and your subject matter, and may be interested, and may buy. Number 6 is be social. Be social.
Yes.
Did you have a question about that?
Well, okay, so for me, be social is kind of weird. Do you mean go to meet and greets, or do you mean actually talk to people when you're on social media, or a little bit of both?
Both. I believe that people they have to get out of their comfort zone, and that's the reason why I host events. I do trade events, and I do videos and teach authors. You're going to have to get up out of that seat, and you're going to have to go to the people and say hi. You're going to smile. Being social, you haven't even got to the sale of the book. You just want to bring people into your sphere of influence to say, hi, ooh, they're attractive. Okay, they've got a nice smile. Hi, how are you? What do you do? And it will amaze you at the things that will happen, sales that will happen, and doors that will open with you just being social. Should you attend meet and greets? Yes, by all means. should you respond to people? Congratulations. I'm so glad your baby graduated from kindergarten and high school and going on to college. That is so awesome. Happy birthday to you. Happy anniversary. That's to be being social on social media as well. Okay? So when you post something, then somebody will say, congratulations to you too.
I was just going to say I have a great example of this Be Social. A lady, I met a lady in a restaurant. Pretty much she complimented my hair because I wear a natural afro sometimes. She complimented my hair, and her complimenting my hair ended up being a 15-minute conversation. And a 15-minute conversation led to her buying 1,000 of my books 2 weeks after that. Like,
exactly.
She was come to find out she was a tax person, and so she bought the books, and every person that came to her office that year to get their taxes, this year actually, to get their taxes done that had kids, left with one of my books, and a state that I don't even live in or I don't know nobody in. So that's just an example of being social and how it can benefit you in the future if you don't have any intent, any cruel intent. You just being yourself and talking to people.
Exactly.
But that was just a great example. Thank you.
Oh, that's a fantastic example. Yay!
Yay!
All right, and number 7 was number 7 was really having a vision for your book. And then because I get people come to me and they're like, well, I rely on your expertise. No, this is kind of a partnership. I know what I see for your book, but I want to make sure that what I see and what you see go together. So therefore, you have to have a vision for your book as well. So that's really what I'm wanting to encourage people of, once you decide you're going to write a book and you begin the process, you're basically now in the book business. And I know that just overwhelms people no, I didn't sign up for all of that. No. I had an author who did that. She said, well, I thought it was just going to kind of sell itself, but I thought I was going to. No, baby, no, it's not. It doesn't work like that. So having a vision for your book means that you may have to hang out with books. You may have to look at books. You may have to go to book signings and hang out in bookstores and just browse. You don't have to stay all day, but, maybe like I would, but have an idea of what new books are out and, what they look like. That's all. Did you have a question about that?
That's funny. No, that was just funny that you just ended the sentence with what they look like. I actually walk around the bookstore now measuring books. Like, I have a little ruler, and I just measure the sizes because I was like, okay, what do I want my book to look like? How big do I want it to be? Does it compare on the shelf to other books? So I just walk around, and if one grabs my attention or I see 2 or 3 different books by different authors, but they're all the same size, I'm like, what size is that? Let me measure that. It's really weird.
Exactly.
Being in a bookstore, but all of a sudden you make yourself just as competitive or appealing to your future client if you can have some of the similarities of simple stuff like having the same size as some of the other books that are more popular. So, yeah.
You got it.
I love it.
You got it. It's wonderful.
So can you tell people once again where they can find you? They have questions and stuff, and then that 30 minutes went by really quickly.
It did. Well, that's what happens when you interview a teacher. It's just, we don't have any problem talking.
Right. Right. Worked out perfect.
Well, you can find me on BKRoystonPublishing.com and RoyalMediaandPublishing.com. JuliaRoyston.net. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. And then if you want to talk to me and get on my calendar, go to bit.ly/talkwithroyston. That's all lowercase, all one word, talk with, WITH, Royston, ROYSTON, bit.ly/talk with Royston. I'd be happy to talk with you in regards to your book and taking it to the next level to publishing.
Thank you so much for being here today and teaching people how to write their first book. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're
Yay!
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
That has been another smashing episode of Raeshal Speaks. Thank you all for listening, and until the next time, talk to you soon. Bye.